Hello. In this video, I want to look at what it means to be an even or an odd function. Now, this is going to be helpful for a couple of questions in 4.1. And so if we look at the y equals here, I'm going to go ahead and see that we have x cubed plus 2x squared minus 7x plus 4 already in here. I'm going to clear that out. We'll come back to something like that in a little bit. Instead, I want to look at something like this. X to the fourth power plus 2x squared, and then let's say minus 8, or something like that. And let's make it minus 7. That's fine. And then let's graph this. Notice that we have something that is symmetric with respect to the y-axis. When it is symmetric with respect to the y-axis, then this function is what we call even. Okay, now to be symmetric with respect to the y-axis, that means that if there's a point over here, there must be a point over here, and that happens for this function. Now the reason that that happens for this function is because if we look at the exponents, all of these exponents are even, and there's actually an extra x to the 0 power on this negative 7 here, so that's x to the 0 power, and that 0 as an exponent is even as well. So even, they're all even as exponents. Therefore, this is an even function. Let's look at this one. X cubed minus 3x. And let's graph that. Notice that this function is definitely not even. Okay, the red one here is not even. Let me go ahead and turn off the blue one. Okay, so this is definitely not even. But if you notice, what I'm going to show you here in just a second is that if you flip this and turn it upside down, it looks exactly the same as what it does right here. So, as a result, this is an odd function. Now, another way of looking at that is if there's a point here, if it's the coordinate -1, 2, it looks like, switch those signs, make that +1, -2, there has to be a coordinate here. So in other words, there has to be flipping of both the x and the y coordinate to make this an odd function. Now if you notice, 3 and 1 as exponents, those are both odd, therefore this is an odd function. Excellent. Let's go back to something like this. Let's say x cubed plus 2x squared, then minus 3, something like that. If we graph this, notice that this function is not symmetric with respect to the y-axis, and if we turn this upside down, then this is also not symmetric with what we call with respect to the origin. So notice that there's a point here, that's the coordinate 1, 0. And if we change both signs, that makes -1, 0. Notice that there's not a point over here. Or 0, -3 would have to have a coordinate at 0, 3. So that's just not happening. So this function is neither symmetric with respect to the y-axis or the origin, which means that it is neither even nor odd. So this function is neither. Now look at the exponents. Notice that there's a combination of even and odd. So 3 is odd, 2 is even, and this 3 is not odd because it has x to the 0 power, and that 0 power is even. So any coefficient is considered an even in terms of even and odd. Alrighty. Hopefully that will help you understand what's happening with these functions. Now let's look at something like this. Let me clear all these. Let's say we have something like x times x plus 2 all squared times x minus 3 cubed. Well, here's the thing. If I graph this, this definitely is not even for sure, and it's definitely not odd. But you may be wondering, how can you tell from this? Well, you can tell from this if you just multiply everything out and then get it in the general form. But that's really a lot of work because this is going to be an x to the 6th power. So you're going to have an x to the 6th power. There's going to be an x to the 5th power, an x to the 4th power, and so on and so forth. You don't want to do that. Just looking at the graph itself should tell you that this is neither even nor odd. That's probably the best way. Alrighty, I think I'm going to go ahead and leave it here, and hopefully that helps you understand even and odd for what we need in my math lab. I'll go ahead and leave it here, and I will see you in the next video. Have fun.